I love the idea of two creative people in love with each other, care about each other, but because of something in them that has to do with their creativity cannot live together, cannot be together in their lives. And I think it's a very honest and true emotions that occur. What was interesting to me, and I think what relates to New York, is that when I went to Hollywood in the 70s, what I saw of the old Hollywood was dying away. And the films that I saw in the late 40s and throughout the 50s, coming from Hollywood, had the stamp of the Hollywood studio on it. So that being so involved watching these films, the artifice of the film, the sets themselves, the obvious sets. Sometimes the sets were painted. You could see the background. You could say, oh, that's a painting. It's not real. The street curbs that were supposed to be a New York street, the street curbs are too high. The extras were too well dressed somehow. It didn't look like the city I knew. But we understood it to be a different kind of reality, a parallel universe in a way to the reality I knew, you know, in the streets or at home and that sort of thing. That doesn't mean that the films are any less true, you see. And that doesn't necessarily mean that because they're coded, in a sense, what I mean, there's a codification, there's a code that occurs. The happy endings that weren't quite realistic, that weren't true. There was something else going on emotionally in these films that were very true to the human condition. And I try to bring that out in New York, but place it against and upon the old template. I decided that the way to handle New York would be to deal with the artifice right up front. In a time in the 70s when that sort of thing wasn't happening, that was gone. You know, I wanted to, Laszlo Kovacs and I were shooting the film. I wanted to originally shoot the film in 1:3:3 aspect ratio, square. We shot it that way for about a week, but we couldn't, for the new lenses and the projection, we had to open up the screen a little bit to 1:6:6, not 1:8:5, 1:6:6. So if you'd see it on television and there was no line on top and bottom, it would kind of look like an old film, and I thought that was kind of nice. But not only that, it was a matter of the costumes and a matter of the makeup and a matter of the production design by Boris Levin that we just literally, you know, absorbed all the MGM musicals, all the Warner Brothers musicals, pictures I had known for many times, including the montage sequences, a night town sequence where they go out in the night dancing and the guy is shaking the cocktail shaker and the neon lights are hitting. And in a way, it was a matter of trying to come to terms with the reality that I sensed from these movies that I had been seeing from 1945 on or so to 1957. But I did away with the convention of the time. Basically, what I tried to do was deal with the style I was experimenting with, really. I mean, we did have some improvisation, quote-unquote improvisation. It's based on a script, by the way. It isn't always just made up and as you get there. We did have some in Mean Streets and certainly some in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, a film I just made. Taxi Driver, a couple of scenes, including the famous scene that De Niro does in front of the mirror, "You Talking to Me," was improvised by him. And by the time I got to New York, I wanted to combine that. I wanted to push the improvisation more. And the very fact, too, that you wouldn't normally feel actors behaving that way, looking that way with that style, with the makeup just a little heavy, the shoulder pads on the men and the women just a little bigger. The tension was a kind of naturalistic behavior of the actors within the confines of an artificial-looking film. I wanted to put the two styles together. As I say, the artifice and truth, you know. It was a little difficult to do improvisatory work when the sets are being built and, you know, another set has got to be dismantled and you got 500 extras over here and it became unmanageable to a certain extent with in terms of the actual production to combine what I wanted, you know. Eventually we got to a certain point, it was all right. The style of this picture, I don't really know how to define it. I mean, I had an idea, and the idea was to on the one hand, embrace the artifice in the good sense, the artifice, the beauty of the old Hollywood, with room enough for a new way of looking at life, a new way of looking at emotions, a new way of examining emotions, a new way of examining lives of creative people, and putting the two together and seeing if they could, you know, stay together or feel comfortable together in the frame. I don't know if I don't know if they do. I know that we just had to do it at the time, and we were supported by Erwin Winkler, Bob Chartoff, and everybody else who worked on the picture. Mac Roush, Mark Martin. There are many people who helped, and so it's. I think you get the idea after seeing the first few minutes of the picture. You get an idea of the style. I don't think I don't have a word for it. Sorry.